Okay, let's go. Okay.
Don't think.
What are the most essential things you should know about your...
Okay.
Okay, so what are the most essential things that you should know about your own personality and the way you process the world?
Okay. I think the most important thing to know is that everybody's perspective, literally everybody's perspective is completely unique, okay? So it's almost as if everybody's living in a parallel universe. That's the first thing to realize. Understanding that is one thing, keeping that in mind 100% of the time is another, which I'm not able to do to keep that in mind 100% of the time, but I usually remember, okay? Which is this. Everybody is experiencing their own life and their own perspective through a kind of like a sphere of their own memories, you know, traumas, ideas, assumptions, and all of that stuff, right? And the problem is that everybody naturally assumes that everybody interprets things the same, or like them, which is basically, it's bullshit. Even though we know each other, okay, we talk every day, we had so many conversations, but there's still so much that we interpret differently, right? And that's just based on things that we learned as children, you know, different genders, different, like all kinds of different factors play a role, right?
Yeah.
So the first thing that you have to understand is this, and number two, you have to understand how you can bridge the gap, specifically when it comes to convincing people. You know what I mean? It's I mean, life is really about convincing others and the world to do what it is that you want them to do. Or, you know, it might sound manipulative, but it's really not. I mean, if you want, I don't know, the plumber to give you a better price for taking care of your plumbing, you need to convince people, okay? And you have to learn how to make other people see your point. I think that's the most important thing, okay? So, a great way of doing it is the following, okay? So, there's a question that everybody is constantly asking in their subconscious mind, okay? This is the biological Homo sapiens type of activity that's always going on, always in the background, okay? The question is, what's in it for me? Everybody's asking that, okay? So one thing that you could do is when you approach somebody and talk to them, don't speak from your own perspective. Put yourself into the shoes of the other person and right away think about how you can reframe what you're saying so that they benefit from it, okay? What could that person want? What is their need at this point in time, okay? And then frame it in that way.
Okay, so the woman that helped you out with the coffee.
She helped me out.
Well, not so much. Yeah, I guess not so much.
Yeah.
Okay, so going back to that, how would you have reframed it to where it would have helped her?
Where it would have helped her?
Yeah, or where she wouldn't have had that reaction to you.
Well, the reaction that she had to me was not a reaction to me. She had a reaction to you for the most part. Okay. So, like in that case, I wouldn't have done anything different really, because that's a relatively insignificant interaction. It's not important. She just doesn't understand that she's in a certain context where she has to do things in a certain way. You see what I mean? So she doesn't understand her job. That's the problem. But why would I say something? Why would I do anything? It's just, you know, it's an insignificant thing. But what you could do there is essentially, look, when it comes to communication, there's essentially a triangle. Okay, there's something called affinity. There's communication, and then there's reality. Okay, so
can you define affinity?
Affinity meaning liking another person. Okay, liking another person. You said, for instance, what your conversation with her would have gone much better because you said she had nice eyebrows, right? So the first thing you can do is find something about a person that you like, okay? And then communicate to them. That works, you know, it's actually, you find a common reality or something that you agree upon, all right? And then you build upon that. So if you want communications and conversations to go well, the first thing that you should do is find somebody about the person that you like. Even make up some shit, you know, whatever. That person, there's nothing that you can find about that person. Just be like, wow, it's really great that they got up this morning and took a shower to not to not smell bad, and like, whatever. Just make shit up. Find something that you like about the person. What you will find is that the communication between you and the individual is going to go much better. So what I could have done is essentially, I don't know, appreciated the fact that she's working on Sunday, and that she's like, it's probably hard to be on her feet, for 8 hours a day. If I had taken that thought, the conversation would have gone much better. And but I don't do that 100% of the time. But if I need to convince somebody, that's how I do it.
Okay, I had one more question. Let's see. Okay, you touched on this yesterday, and I kind of wanted to go into this. So, what's the process that someone should take to deconstruct and reconstruct their ego?
Deconstruct and reconstruct the ego. That's a good question. Okay, so so for reconstruction, you need a blueprint, first of all. Okay, you need to know where you want to take it, or what is the end result that you want. Okay, so you reverse engineer, and you start with the end in mind. This looks like this. Okay, so let's say here you got the end result. Okay, this is the finished personality. Okay, but let's define personality first of all. Okay, personality is a very, very vague term. You will do much better if you link that to specific outcomes that you want. Okay, you want specific things, or specific metrics that you can measure. Okay, so I don't know. A lot of people in my audience, for instance, are pickup artists, right? Or they want to get better with girls. So what they could have as a goal is essentially, I want 5 girls that I have sex with on a regular, and they're maybe girlfriends, they're kind of girlfriends, I don't know, whatever. I want more women, but they have to give it a specific metric, and they have to clearly define the relationship between themselves as well as the women, right? And then you break it down into specific smaller steps. Okay, you reverse engineer, and each one of those steps or targets will require you to step out of your comfort zone, step by step by step. Okay, so you could say that our personality is essentially a reflection of our comfort zone. Okay, so depending on the situation, some people react like this, others react like that. What you have to understand about the body and the psychology is that it's, for the most part, a survival mechanism. All right, wherever there's danger, you will retreat. All right, fight or flight, or you might also become aggressive, right? Or you will avoid certain things depending on your comfort zone. Okay, so as you progress and move towards that metric, you will step by step expand your comfort zone. Okay, another great way to expand your comfort zone would be, and I put that actually into the Money Magic Mastery program. Okay, a great way to expand your comfort zone is to get rid of the feeling, or desensitize yourself to the feeling of embarrassment. Okay, I don't know if you noticed, but I get embarrassed very, very little. Okay, it literally doesn't matter. 1,000 people would look at me because I don't know, drop something or sneeze. I don't give a shit, right? A lot of people get really sensitive. So what you have to do is you have to desensitize yourself, and you have to do it intentionally. I have a rule where it's as soon as I start feeling nervous about something, as soon as I start feeling getting serious is a big point. As soon as you get really serious about something, you got to block there, and you got to expand your comfort zone. So I have a rule, and I've had that rule for a very long time now, which is basically, as soon as I feel that something is too big or uncomfortable, that's exactly when I have to do it. Okay.
What's an example of something that you would be nervous about
these days? Well, there are very few things that I'm nervous about, but one thing that I would be nervous about, as you know, I'm doing acquisitions. I'm working on a 7-figure acquisition right now. If I would have to do, let's say, a 9-figure acquisition, which takes a whole different level of skill, knowledge, and contact, I'll become nervous about that, and I would maybe feel a little bit intimidated.
How about when you started lecturing, like at the very beginning of your lectures? How was that for you? Like, were you nervous at the very beginning? Were you nervous when it came time to speak to crowds of 100 or more people?
Yeah.
or putting yourself out there?
Yes, but the nervousness is always connected to overthinking, you see. So what I did was, when I started feeling the nervousness kick up, it's essentially your nervous system. Nervous system, too much activity in the nervous system. So what you have to do is you have to reduce the activity in your nervous system through certainty. See, when you have an overactivity in your nervous system, it's essentially too many moving parts. Too many moving parts that you can't, like, oh my God, so many people. And you look at all people individually, like, oh my God, how am I going to manage that, right? And how am I going to get my message across? And so many different people that all have their individual filter. Like, how am I communicate this so everybody gets it?
Yeah.
Way too much thinking. That's just going to make you nervous. Your nervous system is going to go into overdrive. Okay, my current methodology, or the methodology that I learned at once, is essentially just not thinking at all. All right, because here's the thing. We got individuals, and every individual has a certain mood, right? A certain emotional state that they're in, right? When you are a speaker and you step in front of people, the group will also have an emotional tone. That's like a combination of all individuals in there. And let's say the mood or the feeling or the emotional state of the group is bored. Okay, so what you have to do is you're gonna have to match that. Okay, let's say the mood, and you can feel that when you just step out of your own head and just take in the information, take in the emotion from the outside, you will feel where the group is at. Okay, and what you then do is you match their emotional tone. You can be slightly higher, you cannot be lower, and ideally you're at that level. So you're gonna have to speak in a let's say the group is bored, you're gonna start talking in a monotone way, okay? And at that point, there's rapport that's being created, and then you can take them higher, okay? And by the way, boredom is also a state of confusion, okay? So how do you interest people while talking to them? You just gotta remove the randomness in their mind. You gotta remove the confusion, okay? If I were to, let's say you're bored, and I were to resolve an issue in your mind, a question would be answered, your mood would go up, you see? And the same applies to groups.
Okay, that reminded me of a question that I asked you, I think it was yesterday, but how would you raise your emotional tone, your overall emotional tone? Not just in the moment, but overall.
First thing that you need is a goal, all right? The first thing is you need a specific project with things that you can measure, that you can work on today, okay? Life is a game, and a game has a bunch of different conditions, okay?
Okay.
A game is, you need a goal, you need opponents, you need opposition, okay? And the opposition in this world is essentially just life. It's the physical universe, right? So the opposition is taken care of. Then you need, a specific outcome that you want to create. And then you need also rules inside of that game, okay? So what are the things that you can use, things that you can't use? I mean, if you use magic, of course, your rules are a little bit different than what most people use, right? But there's still a bunch of limitations, otherwise it wouldn't be a challenge, right? So that's really what it is about. So raising the mood comes about when you have a certain game that you play, okay? The first thing that you should do is you should pick your game for the day. And the game for the day, of course, is connected to the game of the month or the game of the year, and that is connected to the game of your life, which is basically your purpose. Okay, so everything should be a game. You're in trouble once you get serious. As soon as you get serious about things, you're going to start losing. Okay, and this universe works in a way where the vibration of the frequency of playfulness, where you're just trying to figure things out. No ego attachment. You're just trying to figure things out. Okay, does this work, that work? And as soon as you become playful, you will see that things work easily and work much better.
What's the best diet tip that you can give someone?
Diet tip? Stop smoking and don't drink coffee. No, look, bodies are different, diets are different. For me, a ketogenic diet and vegan works the best. Okay? vegan, ketogenic. That works the best. And lots of raw food as well. Okay, I don't eat animal products for the most part. Yeah, I don't eat meat, period. Sometimes I eat some cheese and dairy. But for the most part, I don't like animal products.
Okay, and last question, what's your favorite dessert?
My favorite dessert. Damn, that cake we had
That was
yesterday.
so good.
Oh my God, that was so good. My favorite dessert, punani.
Okay. What's the key to finding balance in life? In all areas.
The key to finding balance, it's the bird or the eagle's perspective. All right. There are 4 to 5, I don't know, maybe 7 different areas of life. Rarely more. And all of those have a tendency to draw in your attention. You see, there's this Parkinson rule. Okay, you might have heard me talk about that in the context of expenses. That your expenses will grow at the same rate as your income grows. So if you don't take care of that, no matter how much you make, you're still going to spend more than you make, right? And another law by Parkinson is that work increases with the amount of time that you spent on a certain subject, which means that a lot of people try to do the following. They try to, let's say, fix their health, but the more they try to fix their health, the more things show up that they can take care of in that aspect of life, you see. And the same applies to everything. A lot of people try to make more money, so they start working on making more money, and then more and more and more things show up that they could handle in that area. Okay, and the same applies to all other areas. So the first thing that you have to understand is that there is no perfection in the physical universe. There is no perfection, so you should never strive to be perfect in one area. Okay, that does not work. This universe operates in terms of gradations. Okay, so there are always shades. There's never an absolute. Okay, that's the first thing. So never go for perfection. What you should figure out is the top 20% of actions in one area that get you 80% of the results. That's called the Pareto principle, by the way, the 80-20 rule. A lot of people know it based on that. So you figure out the most important things in each area of life. You're going to save a lot of time, and you're still going to get 80% of the results. And hey, 80% in all areas of life is still pretty good, right? And then you always got to keep the bird's eye view. Okay, the bird's eye view, which is essentially you got an overall idea of how you should feel. Okay.
Would you say that correlates with your purpose?
Absolutely, that correlates with your purpose. And if you live with your purpose, if you live manifesting your purpose, then you're gonna have a certain quality of life. Okay, so life will feel a little bit like a game, like an adventure, something that is exciting, and you learn new stuff every single day. As soon as you get serious about life, as soon as life starts feeling like a drag, you're doing something wrong. Okay, so balance means that you have a bird's eye perspective, and make sure that you take care of all parts of your life on a daily basis. You should take care of your health on a daily basis. You should take care of your relationships. You should take care of your money. You should take care of your spirituality. All of these things every day. That needs to be part of your routine. And if you follow Pareto, you can manage. You can actually take care of everything throughout the day. Look, I mean, you can't pull one side and then try to lift everything up. You're gonna have to lift it up all at once. Okay.
How would you say that spirituality ties into emotional maturity?
Okay. I think the key understanding is that your emotions are subject to change, and something that is constantly changing cannot be the truth. All right. So the mistake that a lot of people make is that they use their emotions to guide their life. However, your emotions are significant, absolutely, but they're not not a good navigation system. All right. Thoughts change, emotions change, and I mean, if you're really honest, usually you don't even know where the emotions and the thoughts come from, right? Because there's 1% that is conscious, 99% of the stuff is subconscious. So just bubbling up to the surface, right? So emotional maturity means that you take responsibility for your emotions. Okay. See, when you look at a child, and there's something called the theory of the mind, and that develops, I think, at the age of 7. All right. So a child younger than that has no concept of other people and their perspectives. Okay. So the emotion of the child is the most important thing. That's it. All right. So if you had a child like that on a plane, it will start crying and it doesn't give a shit about other people around it, right? Now, as you grow older, you should begin to understand that the world operates not based on your emotions, it operates based on certain rules that you are supposed to figure out, and you're supposed to adjust the emotions to life, if that makes sense. Okay, let me clarify that because it wasn't very clear. Okay, so example. As the brain develops, there's something called the amygdala, right? And that's at the base of the brain, and it's basically our fight or flight response. When we're children, the brain is not fully developed, right? So everything that we experience from the outside world seems to be caused by us, all right? Somebody's rude to us, we think we have caused that. And that's important to survive, especially if you're interacting with your mother as a 1 or 2 year old child.
Yeah, that's so true.
It's very much connected, right? But as we grow older and we mature, this amygdala is still active, right? So when people experience something in the outside world, they think they did something wrong necessarily. I mean, that might be the case sometimes, but oftentimes it's not the case. Somebody is just in a bad mood because something else happened. They were just on the phone with somebody and, they're still processing what happened there, and you interact with them and they're mean to you or whatever, they're rude, and you start believing that you caused that. That's the first instinctual response that people have when it comes to that, right? But it's not often like that. So I think emotional maturity just means that you can observe your emotions and take responsibility for them. Meaning, yes, I have this emotion right now, but instead of reacting to that emotion, I can take a step back and I can see the situation objectively, and I can stick to the plan even though my emotions are telling me something else right now, because I have reason, I have the ability to reason, which means that I can look further down the line. Tomorrow I'm going to be in a different mood. Next week I'm not even going to feel anything about the situation anymore. So you project into the future. And another big deal is a lot of people don't understand or don't know that there are tools to change your emotions. You don't have to experience a certain emotion, okay? You don't have to. If you're in a certain emotion that is not productive, that is not helping you accomplish what it is that you want, you should have the ability to change it. And that's very important. So emotional maturity means that you understand that your emotions are not the universe, that you have them, that they have a certain meaning, but at the end of the day, you should be able to change them and control them.
What would be a practical exercise for letting go or staying unattached throughout the entire day of your emotions and your thoughts, and the feeling of what you said, the feeling of feeling that you caused that in somebody else?
Okay, you should look, being at cause is a good thing, but actually look, I mean, if you feel like you caused something and it is not connected to something that you did, that makes you feel out of control. So you're at effect at that point, okay? So somebody's rude to you for no reason. You feel you caused that, but you actually didn't. That makes you feel bad. So it makes you feel out of control. So what you should do is you should intentionally use your communication to create specific things. Okay, so whenever you feel bad, try to be at cause. I mean, a lot of people do that instinctually, but they do it in a messed up way because they don't understand that process. So you will find people that, for instance, they experience chaos in the outside world. It makes them feel out of control, and then they try to exert control on, let's say, a partner, a friend, or people they're dealing with by being overly controlling. You see, that's just an attempt to gain back a little bit of control over their own emotion. But what you should do is basically intentionally send out communication into the outside world. It could be something as simple as starting a new project, or creating order within yourself. By the way, when it comes to creating order in your own mind, what's very important is that a lot of people try to think, but try to think and figure things out by just thinking about it. That's not going to work. It's just going to create more confusion within yourself. See, creating order and structure within yourself, within your own consciousness, is an energetic process. Okay. And energy can only flow between 2 points. So when you try to figure something out within yourself without an external reception point, you're going to create more chaos within yourself. So if you start thinking about something, or if you're trying to figure something out, either talk to one individual about it, or get a piece of paper and a pen, because at that point the piece of paper and the pen are going to be a reception point where you can send energy back and forth. Okay. Problem.
Okay. What would you say is the most important life skill to master?
The most important life skill. Wow. Okay. What's the most important life skill? The most important life skill would be. Oof. That's a big question. What's the most important life skill? I think. Changing your thoughts, your thought process, being in control of what your mind does. Okay. I mean, everything starts in the mind, which in occult terminology would be your aura. Okay, your aura determines your emotional state, what you resonate with, and so on and so forth. Okay. So learning the skill of changing what your energy body resonates with, because that's the blueprint in the invisible that will then manifest the physical reality around you. Your thoughts, emotions, and your perception of life and interpretation of it is a reflection of what that energy body is resonating with. So learning how to intentionally change that is, I think, the key to life. That's it. That's the secret. That's how you change your karma. That's how you change your reality. That's how you change your subjective reality first, and then your physical existence.
Would you say that's like adaptability?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.